So with me today, it's my honor to bring you another former police officer, happened to work in Chicago, almost has the same kind of story as myself. He was treated very unfairly over there. He's a good friend of mine. He has numerous shows that he's on. He's all over the place. And he's a paisano. That's also important. Dominick Izzo, welcome to the Sal Greco Show. How have you been, pal?
I've been good. It's great to see you again. I appreciate this.
Listen, likewise. And it's very important to me. I want to show my audience there's numerous officers that have spoken out. They're all over the country. They either have the same stories or they're exposing corruption as well. And your story exposed some corruption. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what actually happened to you while you were in your police department.
I appreciate that. I was a suburban cop in the northwest suburbs of Chicago from 2001 until 2019. Loved the job. I worked for 3 different departments, all in the same area, the Round Lake area in Illinois. I started with Round Lake Beach and I finished with Round Lake Park. And I love the job. I loved the job until I realized it was a job and it wasn't, a calling like we all thought it was. And it wasn't us or the actual actions of the job that made it the way it was. It was the command staff, right? We always had a problem with brass. Brass is just management. And they, in my opinion, they just lose who they are once they go from, your fellow patrol officer, and all of a sudden they got that chevron and those three little V's, upside down V's on their sleeves, man. They forget who they are. And it was a different world. It was just a massive different world. With my department, my last one, I loved it and I was a company man. I was a good boy, union president, fiduciary on the pension board, FTO, defensive tactics instructor, use of force trainer, all this shit. And we just discovered one day that our body cameras were recording us nonstop. They had a feature from WatchGuard body camera called Record After the Fact, where it's stored 7 minutes and 1 second of files in perpetuity. So however long the camera was undocked for, didn't matter if it was in sleep mode, didn't matter if we thought we turned it off. You take a 12-hour shift, divide that by 7 minutes and 1 second, and that's how many files you had your entire day was stored. So we saw us, defecating, grooming, wiping ourselves, texting, and I spearheaded a lawsuit to file for we felt violated. So a bunch of us got in there, and a bunch of us were intimidated out, and only a few of us stayed till the end. And it was a big eye opener to see what command staff really was like with my department. And during it, I learned that everybody focuses on Chicago and New York and LA, and they never really pay attention to the little guys. And the little departments are where you get the most corruption. I talk about in my department, we had a G.I. Joe Glenowitz case during the time I was working where a cop was killed by 3 people. We had a giant manhunt before, and the entire world and nation was looking at it. And then 2 months later, you find out that no, he killed himself over some embezzlement and some porn and mistress stuff. And then that really wasn't true. And then I've got 2 women who are sitting in prison right now for 30-year sentences for killing people they didn't kill. But my chief, forced them into confessing to the crime they didn't commit. I just had a lot of drama with the department because I had a hard time saying, shut your mouth. You got X amount of years left. You can get a pension, this and that. It would make me sick to my stomach. I met some righteous people in the world, like Sheriff Richard Mack, who kind of impressed upon me really what the job of law enforcement is. They found that I violated a department policy by texting a couple photos to a friend of mine of death investigation scenes. I see dead bodies. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm working on today. And they go, hey, we're going to fire you or you can resign. And I said, fire me, man. I'm not resigning. And it took me 3 years to get reinstated, what it did. And I've been making noise ever since about law enforcement. A lot of people think I'm salty and I'm bitter and I'm jaded, and you bet your ass I'm all those things. But if anything, integrity, I still have that. And that's where we start with my story all the time.
So here's first question I have, especially I know this audience I have would ask this. Where was the union when they did this to you? Because you're the actual president. Or so
union? Oh, let's get into this conversation. We gotta get comfortable now. Union was useless. Union, unless you're a big New York or CPD or anything, man, Union doesn't care. Union was like, here's my camera. There we go. I'm lagging on this for a second. We have a thing on podcasting. If you can't fix it, feature it. And apparently my camera wants to freeze me here for a second.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it's all right. But you know what? We'll go with the audio on this. So I'm working this out. Union didn't care, dude. Union, because we weren't big and we were, just a small man department, and we weren't like a map or anything.
No, it's still going.
So there you go. See, now I'm back. See, we are problem solvers. And leave it all in. Don't edit anything out. Leave it because it's human error. The bottom line, because we weren't FOP, no one gave a shit. I had the tool of arbitration on my side, and so when it was like time to go all the way to the end of the federal lawsuit, and we're talking about damages and all this kind of stuff, my lawyer was like, your arbitration. And we talked to the union. The union's like, well, we don't know if we would win arbitration. It's like, wait a second. I discovered that our body cameras are recording us 24/7. 9 months later, now I filed a lawsuit within 2 weeks. 9 months later, here's a department policy you violated. And there was a string. I never got disciplined, but all of a sudden, after that time of filing that lawsuit, it's, hey, explain to me why you didn't write somebody a traffic citation for going 30 over, and you just gave them a verbal warning. Come see me. Or, hey, you went to a fight in progress at the high school, to back up the day shift officer. You never called out on radio. Here's your write up. It's like all these little petty things people don't understand how they fuck with people in law enforcement started to come down. And I looked at the union and I went, all right, explain this to me. You've seen the awards I've got. I've got a state senator who wrote me an award. I've got a very well documented history. No complaints in my file. I've been given these gifts, if you will, brand new squad car for all of my achievements. DUI officer, gang officer, all this shit. But now you're saying you don't know if you could win an arbitration when literally all of my problems began after I filed a lawsuit. And it's a whistleblower. I'm protecting it. Well, we don't know. Unions suck. Unions suck unless you're with a big department. Because I would say, didn't I pay my dues like every other fucking cop out there? Well, yeah. And you can't. So you can get other guys who get involved with shootings and they can get reinstated. I texted a photograph. Well, we don't know if we can win that. Unions are their self-interest. They do not have the cops' interest in mind. I don't care who says what. Not at all.
So, yeah, because that's the first thing everyone we're going to want to know is if the unions were behind you. So clearly, you sued, you used your own money out of your own pocket. You had to go through the ringer. You somehow had to stay. I would venture to say you were probably either modified or suspended, correct, for this whole period that you were sued?
I was fired. I was suspended for 3 weeks with pay. And during that time, next thing you know, I'm getting these. And all this came out in my depositions. There was a sexual harassment claim that came against me. And I brought up in the deposition, I have a question. I was never given this. You don't see my signature on this, on September, whatever, you were accused of sexually harassing officer so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. I was never disciplined on this. And which is a greater offense in the eyes of the department? Me texting a photograph or me sexually harassing another officer? I go, why was I not fired for sexual harassing an officer? They had no answer for that. And when it goes back to the money too, this is how people don't realize how unprotected cops are. Now, I found hundreds of hours. It could have been thousands of hours of cops on our department who were taking a shit, taking a piss. The only female on our department, like wiping her shit, and she's got bloody tampons, popping her zits in the mirror. That would be a criminal offense to any other civilian. And if I arrested somebody for doing that, the state is going to investigate as much as they can. We had those, and we were told that, no, there's no criminal investigation. And if you want to find out how WatchGuard body camera did this, that cost for an investigation would have to come out of your own pocket. I bitched like crazy. I said, wait a second. So if I'm a victim, if somebody's spying on me in the shower and I call the police, you'll do an investigation on it. You'll do criminal charges. But because I'm a cop and my chief has this mode activated to spying on me while I'm wiping my ass after I take a shit, he can read all the text messages to my girlfriend. There's no criminal charges. The hypocrisy in law enforcement is insane, which always blows me away. How, I'm very vocal about this. We have no fucking blue brotherhood. I don't care who says what. The day you get ousted, all of a sudden you're a problem. You're a blue falcon. You're blue this. And it's always how I say shit, never what I say. That's the problem. It blows me away how I show other cops this. These body cameras will do this to you. They will screw you over. Blah, blah, and you get, oh, you're just bitter. You're a fired ex-cop. And I can't win with you fucks. So the union and the law are not on your side when it comes down to being a cop at all.
And I don't think you have rights either because, as we've learned, you learn in my case is the same thing as They try to say criminal association. They use the legal subpoenas, administrative, all to say, we don't like your friend. You must be terminated. And then all of the big wigs are hanging out with their own set of criminals that, hey, don't look at us. What are you talking about? What? There's human trafficking at the nightclub that we're standing in every night? No, it can't be. Oh, no, here's a report from the police department. What did you do with it? And they're all staring at each other. So, and you mentioned something else because the body camera thing, in the New York City Police Department, we have Axon. And one of the claims we've heard from numerous people that are still on the job is that camera somehow records whether it's on or off.
Yes, it does. We had Axon just put it out, said that it has a feature that it records 18 hours prior to the activation. So for those who are watching Sal's content that are law enforcement like savvy, but you're not cops, that means that your body camera in sleep mode, not activated, will record either to the department settings 60 seconds or 30 seconds as a buffer. That's why you see, cops going up to a scene and you hear no audio and then you hear a and then the audio kicks in because they push their button. But 30 seconds or 60 seconds prior to them pushing the button, they record video and that always loops. But in this case, that 18 hours doesn't. And in our case, 7 minutes and 1 second looped. Didn't loop. It recorded, stored, record, stored, record, stored. But as a cop, you have no reasonable expectation for privacy. None while you're in the department, audio or video. So it absolutely blows me away. Some of these things that's just in the language that people don't pay attention to. And, cops are ultimately crucified for.
And that's the thing, because people like to say, you and myself, even John McCarry, Eric Dim, Marlon Bethel, Finance Unfiltered, we're critical of our, law enforcement. And it's not that, because we try to say, and I don't know if Dominic, you agree with this, when we say back to blue, we're saying don't wear a blindfold when you do that either, because that's important what's going on here. Look, what we're trying to do is reshape and actually put a perspective on things that's common sense where everybody could agree to something. Is a true reform. The police departments in their own, let's consider it like their own political office, and they all need reform, and that the people up top are super corrupt, just like, your mayor, your city council, same setup. And the things that you're hearing, like what Dominic is explaining to you, is if you're wearing a body camera, it's actually you don't know this. A lot of police officers don't know this. That thing is pinging back somewhere, and they're watching you constantly. We don't know what goes on with this footage. I mean, it could also be used to, I guess, when you're walking down the street, this thing's picking up everyone's faces. Nobody wants to discuss these things and say you're conspiracy theorists, but this is an actual fact. And that the fact that we're all critical of the police department is not to, try to say we're putting a rubber stamp on we hate police, because we don't. We're for the rank and file that's in the street, because that's who we are. But when you look at the leadership, and Dominic's just telling you a little bit about the leadership where he was and in Chicago in general, doesn't sound too far off from what's going on in New York City, no?
We have a bunch of people don't get it. You don't see it until like year 5. And you're like, whoa, these guys don't have my back. I thought when I got that badge, I was 26 years old and power drunk. It was so awesome to drive off duty with a wallet badge in my back pocket, knowing that if I ever got pulled over, all I had to say is, hey, sorry about that, but I'm with so-and-so. and it was an automatic, no citation whatsoever. I had an arrogance. I'm a cop. It's insane. I can't fathom what it's like to have that gold badge and the perks and because what people don't get, we'll talk about the reality of law enforcement. You know what? 100%. You live your life as a human. You got a bad day with your wife and your kids. You're going to take it out on the people on the street. You really are. And it's so fucking intense when you know damn well that I'm going to get the last word. That if you even want to go hands on, doesn't matter how much bigger and stronger you are. After my ego fails me, I'm going to have 10 other cars on scene. And guess what? You're still going to lose. It's insane. It's insane. I can't imagine what it's like because we lived it. You got pressure from your home life, pressure from the people on the streets, and pressure from the command staff. Well, once you get that brass position, you got pressure from the home life, pressure from the mayor's office, pressure from the trustees, and you get to shit on your subordinates underneath you, your patrol. And they have to eat that shit. Doesn't matter if you served it cold on a plate. Yeah, it's got to be a different level of ego to where knowing I can write you a ticket. I can even put you in cuffs if I can articulate it. But as command, dude, I can fuck with you in ways that people will go, that's petty, but they don't get how it screws with you. So what that you lost your new squad car and they put you in the old beater that's got 120,000 miles on it. It's got no AC and you're in summertime. What does it matter? So what did they switch your shift? So what did they kick your report back 5 times and just made you rewrite the same thing? People do not understand the psychological warfare that command staff has because as grown men, we'd love to go, Sal, you got a problem? Let's fucking hash this out right now. But you can't do that to your brass because then you'll be an insubordination in the policy. People will never get the job of a cop. They just never will unless they've done it.
No, that's what it is. And we put our best foot forward and try to give you what's fact-based analysis. A lot of what Dominick does on his show, I've watched it so many times. He gives you facts. He's actually showing you whether it's a video evidence, a court document, a newspaper article, and then he's giving you his analysis since he was in the same situation. So we're giving you an in-depth look on what it's like to be a police officer just from 2 different departments, 2 different regions, we'll say. I'm going to show you this article, Dominick, because you're probably going to go crazy when you see this. But this is from the New York Post. New Jersey cop found woman's address in police database, then drove to her house and hit on her.
Oh, yeah.
Report.
I 100% believe that. Those were the guys who stayed over on the domestic and like, I got the paperwork. And then all of a sudden would make patrol past the house 2, 3 times to make sure she's okay. Oh, we had those. This is sick. Yeah. So I'm going to read this to you. This is from Steve Janoski, New York Post. A New Jersey cop is in hot water for allegedly tracking down a local mom's address in a national police database, then driving his police cruiser to her house to ask her out. Joshua A. James, a 29-year-old officer with the Neptune Township Police Department in South Jersey, was suspended and arrested and charged with 2 counts of third-degree computer-related criminal activity last week, according to NJ.com. Authorities say James had been working in elementary school detail in the Monmouth County town on January 10th when he saw a 28-year-old mom picking up her kid, according to a police affidavit. Afterward, he allegedly went into a pair of national databases, the Spillman Flex Law Enforcement Database and the FBI managed Criminal Justice Information System to find her home address, the report said. Armed with the information, James allegedly drove his police cruiser to her house and hit on her while he was still in uniform. Officer James asked her if she was single and asked for her phone number, the affidavit said, adding that he later called and texted the worried mom. These databases are to be used solely for law enforcement purposes. The woman reported the officer over the line behavior to the department, and cops later arrested him. Dominick, it's 2025. How does this not like? We had a great detective, sergeant. He actually got promoted, detective, fantastic guy, and he was with the department. He got fired in 2004, so I was 3 years out at that time. And he got fired. He was there for 10 plus years. His wife and him gets a divorce. And a few months later, she's dating somebody. He has a new guy and he's concerned because the kids are around him all the time. He ran him through leads in his squad car to make sure the guy doesn't have any kind of criminal history. He was fired. The department fired him for using leads for a non-criminal investigation. And it's like, that was 2004. That's 20 years later. And I have to imagine the technology and the bean counting is a little bit different now, like more accurate. You're 29 years old and shit, let me look at the litany of bad things that could get me in trouble. Check, even if he went on Facebook and sent her a DM, that might be pushing it, right? But no, he goes through leads to get her address and shows up in uniform on duty. We have so many stupid children who have the badge and are on the street, and people do not get that it's a completely different time in law enforcement. I mean, it's not like going, we were, 2000s. It's not like, well, you guys don't know what it was like in the 80s and the 90s, and we don't know what it was like in the 60s and 70s. It's like the most massive leap, how they say that technology took the biggest advancement from the 1970s until now compared to any time in history. So you got 50 years of technology that exploded greater than any other century on the planet. This era of law enforcement between, I would say 2019 and now is the most insane, clueless, doesn't even know what the fucking First Amendment is, a group of men and women out there compared to any other time in law enforcement. And you're this stupid, you do this, and I can guarantee you he's not alone. Can guarantee you tons of guys do this. Tons of them do.
You do mention the First Amendment. Listen, I think I saw you had on one of your shows one of those auditors.
Yeah, Sean Reyes from Long Island Audit.
And Sean, I actually want to reach out to me because he goes around and actually he does the right thing. If the cop says hello, he has a nice long conversation. They kind of become friends. And all he's doing is saying, see, why can't cops be like this individual, that individual cop? And then I see some videos, and I think he has a lawsuit on a few of those incidents where, I mean, it's like Browbeat Central. These guys start looking like it's a scene out of Goodfellas. All of a sudden, somebody with a badge becomes a gangster overnight. And it's like, you can't do this. Dude, guy, the First Amendment, they could film you. The guy's not in your face. He's far away, and they already get all upset. But meanwhile, Dominic, they're wearing a body camera that's filming everything they're doing, whether they know about it or not.
Right. It's pride. And we did have pride. And you know what? One of the pivots, I was talking to somebody on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. They asked like the pivotal moment where I kind of woke up and I took the stance of like a lot of my content is attacking bad police officers. We have some very uneducated people. And I know the exact moment it happened. It was a warrant service. My deputy chief and I went to our trailer park. Guy had a warrant out for, I think it was retail theft or something, took him into custody. And then we're car to car and I'm coding out the call and my deputy chief is up and he's got the Tahoe. I've got the Impala. And I'm low, and the guy in the back seat's just motherfucking both of us. You guys can't do this, and blah, 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 this and that. And as I'm coding out, I'm laughing, because what do we always do? We got you, fuck you. My deputy chief is laughing, and when the guy goes, he goes, you can't do that to me. My deputy chief just looks at him, and here's the star, and he goes, taps on the badge and laughs. And I felt like the blood drain out of my face, and I went, holy shit, we literally can do whatever the fuck we want as long as we can articulate it, right? And it kind of hit me. I'm like, I know that there are lots of times where people need to be arrested, but how many times did we cross the line and make it personal? How many times? I don't care if the woman got pulled over for speeding and she was a bitch on the traffic stop, and all of a sudden, you know what? You got a cracked windshield. Then you got the fuzzy dice. That's an obstruction. And then, oh, you know what? Your tail light is out, and it's you write her 10 tickets on the traffic stop because you can. I started looking, going, how many times did my ego really fuck with the fact that I got paid a great salary to literally play? And if I took that position of maybe it's time to serve the public, do the job the way that they expect you to do, and go home and don't take things personally, I wonder how different it would have been. I really do. And that was a pivotal moment for me, but people still don't get that through their heads where we're at right now.
No. But we tried our best, right? I mean, listen, nobody was perfect. I can tell you the same thing with me. I mean, I used to say the same things. Did I do things in the past? Was I a little too going forward? Because I was very cognizant of what I did, and I knew to never abuse anyone. In fact, I never had, you could see my right, there was no complaints because I treated people like human beings. Whether the guy was wilding and spitting and trying to spit on you, they're still human beings. You're still just law enforcement. This isn't a gang. We're not in a mob. You know, it doesn't work that way. And you have to, some people can't separate that. And I think what you're talking about here is a separation.
Yeah.
The new generation versus the old one. And we come from the older generation. That's who also taught us. Even with body cameras, those old timers can handle it so much better than anyone from today's generation. I wish they would have learned with the same people we learned.
Yeah, we know how you solve that problem is this is how you solve American law enforcement. You stick cops in corrections for 2 years. And then before you put them on the street, you're outnumbered 100 to 1. No bat utility belt on you there. You better learn your people skills. You said something, and I don't know if I ever asked you this. I always wanted to, and maybe I did before. Our heritage goes one way or the other. We either glorify a mob culture or we don't. I know why I did. I never wanted to be a part of that culture where people are like, yeah, I'm from Taylor Street in Chicago. I don't give a shit. No, I'm connected to so-and-so. I go to the Onion Roll. I don't give a shit. I went law enforcement. And until it was pointed out to me that, law enforcement is just the opposing gang of what we talk. But you're New York. I mean, why, with your background, your heritage, why did you go law enforcement and you didn't feel the pull to the other side of what our culture is?
I can tell you this. Basically, growing up and also then becoming a law enforcement, I had the best view to both sides of that fence. And I could have went either way. I chose one way. But, growing up, it's really easy to dabble on the other side of the fence. And as time progressed in the police department, I said, there's really no difference other than you're on different sides of that fence. Because look who I was working for. I work for taxpayers trying to do the right thing. And you protect people, public safety. And then you find out the police chief, the chief of departments running around in a pay-for-play scam, ripping people off. This is a guy that went through the ranks. He's no different than, let's say, one of these mob guys that runs around. And in fact, they associated with a mob associate.
I think the mob guys have more integrity. I think the mob has more integrity than law enforcement.
These guys in the NYPD, they hit the top and it's like they get drunk on power. And what's worse than a gangster is one that has a badge and thinks he's a gangster, because there's no room for both. It's pick a side. I was around good people. I followed good people. Yeah, we grew up around others, but that's not the route I took. And there's nothing in my record to prove otherwise. But the police department had a problem with somebody that they try to say is worse than all those people because it's political. And that's the other game. This is the game that they played. So I venture to say the majority of police officers have the right intention and do the right thing. It's when you reach that top, when you start getting those gold shields, like you said, and it's a supervisory role, what happens next? Because you could still go the right route, and I know a lot of people do, but like we're pointing out, you dealt with a chief that was totally corrupt, put 2 people in jail, fired you, said all these things about you, did all these crazy things. We have these people in the police department now in the NYPD, the chief of department, the current chief of department, some deputy commissioner was a cop and all of a sudden jumped 7 ranks, should have been terminated not once but twice. He's calling all the shots. We have the mayor, a former cop, who lets all of this go on underneath him. It's really mind-boggling. And he surrounds himself with former cops that were even worse than the cops that are in charge right now. So that is what you're staring at. And then you really look and say, you know what? New York City is run by a criminal syndicate right now.
Oh, dear God. The hypocrisy blows me away. It blows me away how basically it's a policy. There's a policy that says that you can't associate with X, Y, and Z, and you get dinged. Who was Eric Adams just hanging out at a press conference a couple weeks ago? Wasn't he just hanging out with somebody that the media pointed out and said, that guy, a bank robber? Well,
he's got a litany of people
Blows
he
me
as
away.
the mayor. Now, I know the excuse would be used, he's the mayor. Okay, I get it. He's a mayor, it's a political, but as the head of the agency, and then he's also pictured with the police officers hanging out with the mob associate. He himself does it. His police chiefs do it. The commissioner does it. You can't come down on a police officer now and say, well, you were associating with, but I'm a cop and you guys are on top doing the same thing, if not more. And it's also led to these other investigations. So why is this cop being hit for having white socks on?
Yeah.
Why is he has no whistle? I mean, really, that's what you're seeing. That's what
This is
we're
what
seeing.
people don't get. The general orders or department policy is just a giant FU book. Yeah. You people think you're joking. It's no, you wore white socks to work today. You get a ding on that. And as a grown man, you're like, I got now paper in my file because I wore white socks. It's like, it blows me away. God, the amount of discipline I got, which was so petty after I sat there and did that, it just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. But people will never get how it annoys you. It's just so, it was New Year's Eve. And, the girl I was dating at the time, we were in bed because, we're old and getting ready to go to New Year's Day. And the next day comes out the bids, right? And I put in for day shift for 2016 because I was tired of working midnights and I wanted to get away from stuff and blah, blah. And next thing you know, I got day shift, but yeah, they took me out of the brand new Impala the Tahoe that I had earned for being the top DUI guy. Well, since you put in for days, and nobody drove that car but me, day shift or night shift. Since you put in for days, no, we're going to take that car away from you, put you in the Impala with no AC or all this shit. And she's looking at me going, why are you stressed out about that? I'm going, you don't get it. This is how they fuck with you well, you're going to leave day shift or midnights and you're not going to create any revenue for us anymore. Well, now we're going to punish you. It's so petty, but my God, it stresses you out.
And that's why I want to segue into the next topic, because as we just established, this is the police department. This is what works inside the police department. So now, what is this really affecting? Because now there's public safety at risk. And you're from Chicago. So I'm going to show something you posted, because now you should follow Dominick on X, because he's a little raunchy, but he hits you with things like this.
What are you going to do?
Now look at this. He posts 41,317 people have been shot in Chicago in the last decade, with 7,229 of them ending up dead. But you wear that uniform so you can grow your social media. Be a cop and focus on your effing job. If you want to be a clown, join the circus. Now, Dominick, I was going to ask you this, because being from Chicago, how do you quell the crime problem there? The crime is all over the inner city. You can't even go down there. It's like a war zone.
No.
What's going on? You were a cop there.
Yeah, no, we got all the stuff they chased out. So, my uncle was a lieutenant at the Cabrini Green Firehouse in the 80s and the 90s. And, when they tore down Cabrini Green, they moved up to the area that I worked at. So we got, I love it when anybody, and somebody did this a couple of weeks ago when I posted that, there was a Chicago cop in there who said, you're a suburban cop, guaranteed I've done more than you and blah, blah. And I pulled those numbers up and I went, wait a second. So you're saying you got 15 years on the job, and this is how many people have been shot and killed in the last 11 years. What the fuck do you guys do down there? People don't realize all that element moves out to the suburbs, and we got Milwaukee's and Chicago. So we humped every day. The problem is, and that post was in reference to these TikTok cops, these females and these idiots out there who do dancing and lip syncing in the fucking squad car, and that's law enforcement. CPD. And this is what I can't stand. I'm not a fan of Chicago police. Number one, I'll bitch. They think they shit fucking gold bricks. They don't. They are a glorified group of men and women who show up on a call 15, 20, 30 deep after the call is over and stand around for fucking hours drinking coffee when they're not smoking or sleeping in their squad cars. Clear on Erie, you're at Erie Street or State Street. It's like, dude, you're sleeping in your squad. Holy shit, it blows me away. They drive like assholes. They have no regard for fucking people, and they act like they're better than everyone else. I was a suburban cop. We did our shit from start to finish. So, and you've never done this. You've never done this. I talked to Marlon last podcast, which blows me away that here are two guys who were in serious shit more than I was. And I've never seen you guys talk down to suburban cops. So you get CPD, they're beholden to what the fucking mayor wants. And you'll get like somebody like Lightfoot who will crucify them and limit what they could do, but then demand 30 of them guard her street so reporters can't come down. And like good little lapdogs, they do it. CPD is just, if you take nightclub doorman and you put badges on them, that's what Chicago police are. They've got an abysmal 15% closure rate on their cases. Carjackings have gone through the roof. The shooting cases are, we're in the 28th day of January. This 1 month. We've already had over 120 people shot for the month already. It's like they have the excuse of, well, we're CPD. Well, then why aren't you doing anything? Well, we can't do anything. Our hands are tied. Well, if you were real cops, you would do shit. And you would tell your mayor, fuck off. We're policing the way we're supposed to police. And you would go in and you would do what needs to be done to keep the community safe. Because God knows those communities demand law enforcement. And so many of them, man, so many of the citizens of those towns. I ran for Cook County Sheriff in 2018 and I walked those neighborhoods. And my God, it's the older generations, 35 and older, that crave community and law enforcement. They want help. It's the shitheads that are younger down there that are causing all the problems, and they are out of control. So ultimately speaking, CPD is, they cry a lot. Whoa, we can't do anything because our hands are tied. And then when they do things, they like to brag, oh, we're CPD, but nothing gets done. So what are we glorifying you for? I don't know.
What's the size of the head count there in?
I think they're 13,000. I think
they're 13,000. What was the head count in your old police department?
Oh, if you put our area together, less than 100.
So you got less than 100. So you're more, suburban, a lot smaller.
Oh, yeah.
They're the big dog, and they have the Windy City. They have the whole city to themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have Cook County Sheriff's Department. By all, our area is a joke, and here's why. If you have, and I don't know how the county was by you, but if you look at Los Angeles Sheriff's Department and then LAPD, LA Sheriff's Department, man, they run the shit out there. They're the cat's ass. Out here, you got Cook County, second largest county in the nation. They call them the brown clowns. Their uniforms are brown. They have no respect for the county sheriffs that patrol the streets. It's Illinois State. Illinois State doesn't do shit down there. They stick to, the tollways and whatnot. CPD does everything on their own. And it's the Wild West still. You got a bunch of people who they want that prestige of that CPD badge. And it's just, I don't have a lot of respect for them because they think they're the real police while shitting on suburban cops, which is at least 80% of American police officers who do the fucking job in ways they couldn't. They handcuff them. They cart them off to the booking center. They read Miranda. They write the report. They call the state's attorney's office. They do all the processing. We don't have a paddy wagon. The dicks don't come in unless it's something really serious. Oh, you need latent prints. You need evidence. Guess what? Get Joey off of his lunch break. He's got to come down and do the work. So it blows me away. They're so over prestiged, and I don't know what they do that's so much different than what patrol suburban departments do.
Yeah, this sounds, the way you make it sound, it's like, wow, that police department's like, just like in their own, they had their own animal. They do whatever, the officers or whatever they're doing there, the supervisor. I can only imagine the corruption going on there. Cause now, are they handcuffed because if they have a city council or the mayors or they still can enforce the law? I mean,
no,
how does that work?
It's gotta be, they got aldermen. So every, I think there's 50, there's 50 wards and all of them have aldermen, and aldermen are like the mini mayors of their neighborhoods and whatnot. But I literally, the few Chicago cops I've met and talked to over the years, they're so beaten the fuck up, and they know they work with some clowns. And it's like, dude, it's like and they're always humping. You look at it this way. A normal, I think, emergency room can handle up to 5 traumas at a time. So like gunshots, stabbings, car accidents, right? That's a normal, like suburban area hospital. Well, in CPD, I don't know how many hospitals they have down there. I think you got county, if it's still open, Stroger. I don't know what else is out there. So if you have a weekend, conservative weekend in Chicago is about 40 people who are shot. Conservative. So if that's the case, and they're doing that, the trauma centers, nurses, ER, the ambulances, all this. What are the police doing? I saw a great video the other day of some woman in NYC who shot a guy in a hallway who had a knife. And it was a good shooting. It was a good shoot. You know, he called 911 because somebody's trying to take his AC, and he comes to her, the hall, and she lights him up. But now they're saying, oh, it's a language barrier. Oh, he couldn't understand her. I don't fucking care. You see a cop with a gun, you got a knife, drop it. Very simple. No language barrier needed. So I defended her. She's got a great, good shooting. But you saw, she's on the radio, shots fired. 30 fucking cops come in the building. I'm like, that's New York and that's Chicago. We don't have that. We don't have that. So when it comes down to it, to kind of answer your question, why they can't do shit, I think they're so oversaturated with the Band-Aid stuff, right? It's the high priorities are the shootings, which they know they're not going to solve. Because Pookie and Ray Ray are going to do the shooting, and fucking you're never going to find them. The carjackings. Well, Pookie and Ray Ray Jr., who are 13, 14, 15 years old, are taking cars. You're not going to fucking find them. And then all the petty shit. They still have the barking dog calls. They still have the retail theft calls. They still have that shit where sometimes it takes them hours to respond. So they are so backlogged on stuff that I think for the most part, it's encouraged. No, take care of the higher priority, which is why I said they're like glorified doormen with badges. They're going out there. The public's going to say nonstop talking about the shootings. So that's what they're going to focus on. Oh, they to some degree, I give them credit, but their fucking attitudes is what I take it away from because I'm not a fan of their holier than thou shit.
I see. It's a little different than NYPD, but it's still political in its own right. So, yeah, I figure because the crime there is through the roof. And in some retrospects, it's a lot worse than New York City.
And it's per capita. You guys are 8 million people?
Yes.
Yeah, we're Chicago, 2.7. 2.7 million people.
There's 6 million less people, yet you maybe close to double the amount of shootings and murders. Yeah, that's not good. That Chicago is a no-go zone.
2,900 people were shot last year, 29 something. It blows me away.
Now, so we have one positive thing. I know you wanted President Trump to get elected president, and so did I. We're both not sycophants for President Trump.
Yeah.
We like to hold everyone accountable. So I wanted to show you something that you posted, see what your thoughts are. Trump spoke about improving the economy, ending racism, securing the border, supporting the military, improving education, advancing America on every single level. And Harris, the Clintons, Biden, Bush sat in their seats, cold and unmoving as stone, as the rest of the room applauded. Trump acknowledged the Israeli hostages who have been released, and all 5 of them stood up and thunderously applauded in approval and praise. We know who runs this country who owns our government. So, what are your thoughts on, President Trump coming back, and what do you foresee now in the future?
That's a rabbit hole. Those are Sal doesn't know. So these are not Sal's words. He has no association with whatsoever. That was in reference to Israel. And I'm so tired of these foreign wars. I don't give a shit about Palestine or Israel. I don't care if they turn themselves into glass. I don't care about Ukraine. I don't care about Russia. I don't care about any single human being who crosses the border. I am so tired of America last. I'm just so sick of it. That was these elected employees that we put in office are beholden to our greatest ally, so to speak. And I'm just so tired of being the police of the world. Trump himself, I've got issues with Trump. I don't like the fact that he was talking about, and I'm paraphrasing, he wants to make it so that there's going to be, I believe, no federal prosecution for police who violate Fourth Amendment rights. And I got to really look into that because this was a while ago he said it. I like the tough tactics. I like the cracking the whip. I like what Holman is doing and deporting criminals. And it sucks that, people don't want to talk about the reality of stuff, which pushes a polarizing position. What I mean by that is I worked in a town that had 60% Hispanic population, and I loved them. They were the most hospitable people I've ever been around. And there were a lot of illegals. And I know how the culture works. They fly under the radar because they don't want the police called, because they don't want to be deported. But they drink and they do blow. And the amount of sexual assaults in the home is insane. And mom will never call because she doesn't want dad deported, because if dad's deported, who's going to pay the bills? Because she works at home with 3 or 4 kids. And they don't talk about the drug abuse, the DUIs, the no valids, and then you're going to get hit by somebody who doesn't have insurance. They don't talk about the culture problems. But if we did, then we talk about the need for deportation. We would talk about, I can love a people, I can respect them, but I can also fucking demand accountability and require, if I have to do things lawfully in this country, sure shit, if I went to yours, you have to do them here. I don't care if you've been here for 30 years. So that tweet is also a point of polarization. I'm so tired of, we just gave another 50 billion to Ukraine. We just gave us another 50 billion to this country. That I don't do. Fuck them. I'm tired of them. So I'm tired of the government. I cannot stand. We the people doesn't exist anymore because we
feels that way.
Yeah, because we said, and I was guilty of it in 2020. Oh, Trump's going to take care of anything. We don't need to do anything. Well, we saw when we sit back on our hands and we worried about our own personal lives. This country goes to shit. None of us, myself included, go to our village or city hall meetings. None of us pay attention to meeting minutes. None of us know what our mayors are doing. It's like shit, but we all focus on a national level. So I've been somebody who has been very much, if we don't start paying attention at our local level and holding people accountable and even running for office, then we deserve what's going to come. And I don't think what's going to come is going to be very pleasant.
I actually agree with you in that local is more important than anything else. I've preached this from day one since everybody started seeing my face on a television screen somewhere. Local elections are key because that's what affects you personally in your pocket more than a national level. National level is what? My gas prices up. How you pay, like today you could buy, let's say detergent would be a ridiculous amount, $20. Well, the president, but what they're doing and how they transport things, that goes from 20 back to 10, depending on who's the president. These are the things that would affect you. Groceries. Now, when it comes to when you wake up, why am I paying $3 to go into town with this congestion pricing? Or why are the tolls? Why am I paying 50 cents to just jump on a road to go to and from work from my house on a small little parkway or highway? That's your local government. Those are the guys I don't need to vote. If my vote doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, then all the sycophants vote. All the, I like to call them low information people come to vote, and you're done. They like to say, I'm going to vote for somebody. Hey, we're the same ethnicity. We're the same, we both shop at the same store. So, hey, and my favorite one, somebody once told me, I like the way this guy sounds. He reminds me of one of the cartoon characters I used to. That's what you're voting for?
Oh, I was
not
one.
Any policy.
Oh, I was one. I never voted. Trump in 2020 was the first election I ever voted. I didn't even vote in 2016. And the reason is I was aware of how uneducated I was. I watched the first time Mitt Romney was primarying against Bush. This had to be 2000, I think it was. Because Bush got in right before the Twin Towers. I remember watching the TV before we had flat screens. There were the tube TVs, and people were like, "Who do you like?" And I went Mitt Romney, and flat out I said because he looks the most presidential. I knew nothing about his politics, but because he reminded me of Reagan and how just well kept he was and well polished and shined and spoke, I went, "That's the guy I would vote for." So I went, if I'm this uneducated, I can't vote. I won't vote. So now I agree with my father. My father says, you don't vote, you don't get an opinion. And so now I do educate myself because I want to vote, because I want to be able to have an opinion. I wouldn't. If I didn't vote and you asked me that question, I would go, it's foolish of me to wind up having any kind of statement because I didn't vote. But again, too, then it's kind of like, do our votes even matter anymore? So it's a very weird place in history that we're at right now.
Yeah. And, this crowd, that watches this show and your show are usually intellectuals. And what I mean intellectuals are people that do their homework, research things, because the whole world, if you were all informed, my God, everyone would come together in unison. The problem is by keeping some people low information and they actually continue to just thrive to be low information. That's what's really destroying your local community and the country. And that's why we even had, I mean, let's face it, that 2020 election, and we'll go with Joe Biden won this election. How many people were low information there? I don't like Trump. They were dealing with the whole pandemic and all that's going on. So they just said, we're going to vote for the opposite because I don't like this guy. Again, they vote on feelings. You know me by now. If you watch the show, if you listen to me, you know, I don't go on feelings. I go on facts. Rip the feelings out of things, especially when you're looking at people in a criminal aspect. You want to look for, you know, conducting cases in court. Take your feelings out because that's how this country got in trouble. A lot of political prosecutions involving numerous people. Oh, I don't like this guy. That you can't go down that road. It's okay. Something happened. The theory or the evidence is leading to this. So unfortunately, whether I like it or not, I have to proceed with indicting this person. I don't like this guy.
This is why you're not a cop anymore. This is why you're not. They don't want that. And this is what you have two camps when it comes to law enforcement: bootlickers or all cops are bastards. And it blows me away how everything you just said is so true. It doesn't matter what you feel about it. You have to operate off the facts and the evidence that's presented to you. And 90% of my content online that I do is showing the public how a cop will bring their emotions into something and the public will be like, well, that guy had it coming to him. It's like, it doesn't matter if they had it coming to him. It's not the police's job to dish out punishment. That's the court's job. And the amount of people who are anti-cop who follow me is a majority of my audience. And the times where I do the NYC shooting, I praised her. There was, in Otero, I think it was New Mexico, a police deputy who shot and, killed a suspect who was walking down the road on a highway, who had a BB gun under he had his arm parallel and his shirt was draped over his arm, and he produced a BB gun and he threw it away, but he was shot in the process. And I defended the shooting because of the concept of the time perception that you receive information in your eyes. And then by the time that's thrown away, it doesn't matter. Those rounds are already going down range. It's a good shoot. And the amount of people who they're pissed off that I'm not arbitrarily crucifying a cop. It's just as bad. The mob, doesn't matter which side of the fence they are, pro-police or anti-police, they just want people punished, either the subject on the scene or the cops themselves. We are a very bloodthirsty but fucking lazy culture because they won't do it themselves. They will never do it themselves. But that's a big problem we have in law enforcement. And what you just said is why you're not a cop anymore. You don't fit the yes, sir bill.
Nope, I'm not a yes man. I definitely and that's why some in the MAGA camp, you know, they're not all for Sal Greco because I'm not a yes man. I'm going to say I don't like this. This is wrong. No, you can't say no. We are going to say that, and the same goes for the people on the left and Democrat. They sound insane. A lot of the stuff they say is insane, but I'll tell them every now and then they do come up with something good because you know. A broken clock is right twice a day too. But you know, you have many progressives that have insane policies and insane rhetoric. It's insane. Probably look, and people on the right do the same thing. And I'm a common sense guy. I try to stay as in the middle as I can. Do I lean conservative? Yes. But again, some of the people on that side are, you know, they loony too. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm trying to go on fact-based analysis, which is what this show is about. And I'll tell you this, I got one thing I want to show you before we call it wraps here, because this involves Chicago. And this is, you know, again, we're talking about illegal immigration and the wonderful mayor there in Chicago. So Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson vows to protect illegal immigrants and directs them to the city of Chicago's website, where they have launched a Know Your Rights campaign to provide information resources, including legal services and healthcare for migrants. We will continue to protect civil and human rights, and we welcome all individuals and families who want to work, live, and thrive here in our beloved city. We offer a Know Your Rights resource guide, providing all information, tools, and contacts that our immigrant community should know. I'll play this for you real quick. It's only 56 seconds.
We will continue to protect civil and human rights, and we welcome all individuals and families who want to work, live, and thrive here in our beloved city. The Welcoming City Ordinance is a law, and it is the law of the land here in Chicago. We will uphold it, along with the complementary Illinois Trust Act, to ensure that our immigrant communities are safe. Furthermore, we intend to continue to empower all of our communities throughout our city with crucial information and resources at this time. On the city's website, chicago.gov, we offer a Know Your Rights resource guide providing all information, tools, and context that our immigrant communities should know. The full force of government from my office, city departments, as well as
let's get right to CBS News.
So that's a village or that's a city ordinance. The city ordinance, state statute, federal law. Okay, enjoy that. And I want to know, because I'm legit. I don't know this. I know Fourth Amendment, First Amendment, Fifth Amendment. I don't know what rights. I don't know. I've never enforced a human right. I don't know what a human right is. I know what constitutional rights are granted by our creator for those who are United States citizens. I don't know what right an illegal criminal invader gets for this country. I don't know what they get due process, which they shouldn't. You rape someone in this country and you are here illegally. You should be shot in the face on scene by law enforcement. Period. No due process. That's your due process. I don't get this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You may have had this in your policy where as a peace officer, you are not, according to the policy, allowed to associate with felons. Was that correct by you?
Yeah, there's a policy that says that, yeah.
So how the fuck are our elected officials allowed to associate with illegal criminal invaders? The hypocrisy never ends. Never.
I knew it was going to get to you. That's in the last 24 hours, this mayor.
He's a socialist. He's a self-admitted socialist. There's video of him when he was with the CTA, Chicago Teachers Union, who does nothing. The Chicago Teachers Union strikes more than they teach. They don't care anymore. The black culture in America, I will say this, and especially in Democrat cities like Chicago, I don't know how else you guys need to hear this. You are literally birthed and farmed for the criminal justice system. It's all there in front of you. The laws are designed for you to fuck up. The county jails are there to circulate commissary content, uniforms, bedding, programs, rehabilitation shit for county when you're not even convicted, which then gives jobs, and judges have to appoint you to some program for rehabilitation for their buddy that now has to run a $160,000 a year program and now needs bodies in it. You blacks in Chicago are 100% product. I don't know why you guys can't fucking see this. You're purposely kept stupid in CPS so that you won't know what your rights are, even how to speak proper English. You all speak Cardi B language. You go out in the streets. You fucking are told by your peers and your mentors to shoot each other and go do hoeing and ganging and all this stuff. You are set up for fucking failure. All so that some rich, affluent CPS or whatever the hell he was, black mayor one term, can tell you how he's a black man. He's there to serve you. You guys have been milked for 100 years. Keep going. 100 more. Keep voting Democrat. That's my rant.
All I could say there is one party rule. You see the same thing in Los Angeles. They have their own problems. New York City. They've been one party rule. Newark, New Jersey. It's always a crime infested. We promise we're going to do better. Try to keep you down. They love low information voters. They want you to stay dumbed down so they stay in control. Like this guy. This guy doesn't even know the law. He's siding with illegal immigrants. He's trying to protect them. So technically, by the way, he was summoned to Congress for a hearing. Him and New York City Mayor Eric Adams, because there's a
I don't think Adams will play the black card. Johnson will play the black card. I don't think we haven't really heard Adams. Adams is disappointing. He really is disappointing from an outsider. He looks like he had potential. And then I hear what you went through and all that shit. He's a big disappointment.
He's a disappointment to many people. I've had other people on this show that have said the same exact thing. But this guy Johnson, we all know, he's a socialist. You got what you voted for with this guy, and I think it's going to get worse. I think
it's even worse than that. 2.7 million people live in Chicago, and every year, I believe, I know the Lightfoot's, I don't know exactly what Johnson's was. Only 600,000 came to vote for when Lightfoot ran. That's a third. I don't even think that's a third. No, then 6 times 3 is 18. So it's not even, it's a quarter of the residents of the city of Chicago came out to vote. You guys get what you deserve. Very simple.
And 3/4 of those only vote one way.
Hmm?
That's just a fact. Dominick, this has been a riveting hour. I definitely want to have you back again. Let everyone know where they could find you and where they could catch your show.
You could check out coptalklive.org. That's coptalklive.org for articles, videos. I'm live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. doing law enforcement related review stuff. We have a call-in number. You can voice your opinion. I welcome dissent and disagreements, and sometimes it gets very playful and heated. I think I told somebody to go, fuck their sister last week while they make moonshine. I love to have fun. The purpose is to change cop culture through my lens. I don't have all the answers. I just create the dialogue and the conversation so that smarter people like Sal will step up to the plate and do the work that I can't do.
Or at least try to make sense of everything. I know some people will take everything you say literally. Last but not least, what's your favorite pizzeria?
Oh, I gotta go Gino's East. It's always Gino's East. But then I have to travel, so the default is Lou Malnati's. So I would say Gino's East 1, Lou Malnati's. Yeah, that's more regular there.
So you heard it there, folks, because we're going to start asking everybody, where's their favorite pizza? Because you know me.
Deep dish.
You know me. I know you're a deep dish guy. I love to imagine eating this good, as you know. So with that, this has been another edition of the Sal Greco Show. Thank you, Dominick, for being here. Folks, tune in for the next episode coming on Friday. And with that one, I'll see you real soon. And I bid adieu and goodbye.